Coverage of the Hidden Valley pre-season round up at Darwin. This is race 2. Alongside me is my co-commentators Troy Allen and Bruce Duncan. Welcome, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
Hi
Good
there.
morning, Bruce.
Morning, Troy. Morning, Steve.
Good stuff. So we're just getting ready to grid up. This race is a reverse grid race as far as I can make out. So also we've got slightly different tyre rules for these rounds. You must use the hard tyre in one of the races. If you've used the hard tyre in the first race, for example, you do not have to use the hard tyre in race 2. So by my notes, guys, we have a few of the drivers who haven't used the hard tyre. We have Dan Stevens, hasn't used the hard tyre. We have Chris McCall, who hasn't used the hard tyre. Darren Goosey, who hasn't used the hard tyre. And from the looks of it, Wayne Pengelly hasn't used the hard tyre as well. So is that going to cause an issue for these guys, or is it actually going to do the reverse and give them a bit of longevity and not having to stop too many times?
It's going to come down to tyre wear here, Steve. It's going to depend on how they can get the softs to last and the hards to last, and what kind of pace they can extract out of the hards, because these soft tyres, they do have a cliff point, and when I say a cliff point, when they go off dramatically in a big way, and you lose massive amounts of time. What do you think, Bruce?
Yeah, the softs, that's it. Once they hit the cliff, that's it. They just go. There could be an interesting way of... I mean, when we're looking at the actual grid there, we've got Wayne, who looks like he's the first driver not to have used the hards. I mean, he could be thinking about the long race here as well.
So do you start on hards, or do you start on the softs, and especially if you're up front, try and get away?
You know what? I'd probably be tempted to start on the hards so that you set up the back end of the race, because it's not about where you start, it's about where you finish realistically.
Isn't that the truth? Well, yeah, that definitely is. Yeah, I suppose you've got the two mindsets around that, though. You've got the keep an eye on the end of the race, but you've also got, if you're right in the first or second row, I would personally be very tempted to shove on the softs, drive the life out of them, and try and get away and get a decent enough gap so that when you do come to use the hards, you can actually just cruise it around and bump up your position a little bit.
Yeah, I suppose you could probably defend a bit better on the hards. They'll take a bit more punishment. But in saying that, soft's going to give you the ability to position the car a lot better for a defence.
Absolutely. So from the looks of it, on pole position we have Dan Stevens from Eric Stratton in the Pepsi Max Ford, Darren Goosey up in third, Roger Clark in fourth, Chris McCall will be taking his position in fifth, Dave Kinnaman in sixth, Lofty in seventh, Kai in eighth, Norman Clark in ninth, and we appear to have lost our champion as well, who's not on the grid.
Don't tell me Rob's had a mechanical failure and the Merc's in the garage.
It's from my camera I can see that the Merc isn't anywhere to be seen.
Is this going to be a precursor for the season? Is he going to have internet issues?
Well, I certainly hope not, since he's moved house today. Not quite sure what's happening there. It's not a good sign to start us off for the season. I think they're actually waiting to see if they can get the technical issues resolved with that Merc and get it out on track.
Yeah, that's good to hear. In regards to teams and drivers and everything this year, obviously we've got the SRT team doing their bit for the Mercedes promo work. But just in relation to my team, Team DSA, we're proud to announce the acquisition of a driver. We've got Darren Goosey joining us this season, and I spent a lot of time personally with Darren through the week getting the car set up for him, and it seems to have paid dividends.
Well, I'll say, Troy, obviously we were completely unaware of that, so it's good to have a bit of an exclusive here on the live feed. So yeah, Darren, this weekend he's been running comfortably up near the top of the times leading up to the event, and then in the event itself he got himself up to third position and was looking pretty comfortable as well, until he had that issue with the stop. But that's one of these things that you're going to have to work on with Darren. He appears to have far too many pit lane infringements. So what's the plan to resolve that?
What I think we'll do is probably once we get a car set up established, we'll do some pit lane practice, and I think we'll have numerous entry exits. So we'll get him to roll through the pit lane, go around on a lap, bring it in just constantly until he can get himself, into a position where he's comfortable with the car and hitting his speed limit. I'm going to tell him that I don't care if you lose 3 or 4 tenths coming into the pits by stopping early to pull it up and make sure you don't get that 10-second penalty, because I'd rather 3 tenths lost than 30 seconds lost.
Yeah, that's true. I heartily recommend that you take yourselves off to Tasmania and Simmons Plains. Darren has a bit of a special relationship with the stewards down there in particular, so if he can get that track sorted, he can get any track done.
Yeah, definitely. But I'll definitely stand up in his defence here. During practice, I actually caught myself 2 stop goes and a drive-through at Hidden Valley during the week. There's just no clear-cut line as to where you've got to be at your speed limit.
That's true, but surely then you just play it safe.
Yeah, you can, but then come race time, the heat's on, the pressure's on. You want to, especially in Darren's position, being such a guy that was nearer to the back end, being right up the front, right at the pointy end, he's probably really excited and adrenaline and everything's got to him, and he's just forgot to hit that limiter at that early point.
So what's the plans for the second car at this point? You got anybody in mind, or are you still searching?
We're still having a look around to see if we can find some new talent, and at the moment there seems to be an influx of new drivers signing up for the league. So if any of them are on board now, watching or listening, if you want to drive the second of the Team DSA Commodores, give me a message. It's Troy at Racing-Leagues, and we'll have a chat. And there's not too much of a prerequisite. As long as you know how to point, brake and accelerate, you can pretty much have yourself a seat.
Excellent, good stuff. So interesting, obviously in the comms when we're waiting on the race start, we've got 3 team owners. So what's your feeling for the season, guys? So we'll start with you, Bruce. You've got 2 relatively new drivers, but last week they showed a lot of pace, but possibly a little bit of impetuosity, shall we say, on track. It's, as we said, it's good to have a fast driver rather than a slow one and trying to speed up. So what's your take for the season?
Yeah, as you say, having a fast driver is good, but if that fast driver can't deliver on a constant basis, what's the point in them being fast? A championship isn't won by just being fast in one event or one corner or anything like that. I think it's just the roughness. They're new to these cars. They need to learn them. So we just need to basically get out there, practice a bit more. Once we've practiced, they're well settled down, I believe, and everything should, hopefully, fingers crossed, fall into place.
Yeah, so we've just got the cars setting off on their formation lap finally. We've got Neville Wilson in the Jack Daniels Nissan in pole position. We've got Wayne Pengelly in the 222 ASR car in second. We've got Mark in the 888 car in third, Norman Clark in fourth, Dan Stevens fifth, Eric Stratton sixth, Darren Goosey seventh, Roger Clark eighth, Chris McCall ninth, David Kinnaman 10th, Lofty Fletch 11th. 12th we have Kai, and we have no number 1 Merc on the grid.
Well. Now, is this the sign of things to come for this season?
Well,
From your team, Steve, how
certainly hope not. I certainly hope not. It's it's not a good look to get us started, but it is what it is at this point. So as the rental cars, we'll not worry too much about this one in pre-season. It was a good show, and he's obviously won race 1. Fortunate for race 2, it would have been great to see him trying to come through the field. Got a couple of things we need to talk about here. We've got Neville in pole, and with the greatest respect to Neville, he's not the most experienced in this car at this point in time. He's learning with every lap. It's a bit tough to drop him on pole position and hope that he can get away safely from there. And then at the rear we've got that very, very fast Volvo, which now does not have to use the hard tyres, coming through from 12th position. We've got the Kinnaman car in 10th coming through as well, and we've got the Dan Stevens car up in 5th. So it's well balanced, this field, for some action, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely is, and I mean we've got one of the faster, consistent guys in mid-pack, so it gives him a head start on the rest of the field. But as you were mentioning, Darren Goose there showed some good pace early on, and he's mid-pack. So let's see, you've got a
Okay, so
couple of faster guys behind
we're
him.
on board the Dan Stevens car on the grid. We've got one of the Fords out of position on the left-hand side, so we're going to stick with the Stevens car from the off to get the best sort of view. The Ford's now back into position. The lights are set. We are red, and we're going green in a second. Revs, and we're green. Go, go, go. The Ford made a terrible start. Neville Wilson from pole position made a decent start with the Triple 8 car at the back of it. The Triple 2 Pengelly car is down the inside and looking for the lead into turn 1. The Stevens car is searching for a line to take. Passes the Wilson car on the inside, which almost spins him off. And we're through turn 1 nicely with the ASR car in the lead.
And that's one thing a lot of these guys do. Their starts. These are a very tricky car, especially in the new mod, to get off the line. And my advice would be probably spend some time during your practice sessions to just get your launches down pat. And once you can get those down, it's amazing how many positions you can make up off the start.
Yeah, exactly. So Bruce, we've got your team in the lead. He's looking a little bit wide on the entry to the hairpin, and he's under pressure, and then some from that Triple 8 car, which is right behind him and looking for the lead. Obviously, first lap tyres. What you feeling, Bruce?
Well, actually, more worried about Dan Stevens, who's up to third place already. Just something noticed in the background there. Yeah, I think Wayne's getting used to the car. It is a brand new car. This is the lease car that we've got until the actual cars finished off the show. It's only his second outing with it, and he did say that it is a bit of a different beast to what he's normally been used to. These cars do have low grip, small tyres, not much aero, and they are, it's a fine balancing art trying to drive them properly and quickly.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a issue with the yellow flag there in sector 1. We're on board with the Volvo trying to come through the field towards the top end of the track, round the outside on the way into the hairpin past Darren Goosey, and we had the spin there, and Goosey's up the inside as well, and he's taking back that corner as well. Hey Troy, that's a good fight put up by your car there.
Yeah, definitely, and that's one thing we did work on in practice, was just Goosey trying to get his position.
Oh, we've had a huge incident right in the back. The Dan Stevens car has had an issue. It was in second position.
One thing I did notice during practice is if you do tend to get yourself just that little bit greedy with the curb, you will find that car will tip and will roll quite easily, especially out of turn. I think it was turn 1 was an issue.
Bruce, what was the issue there? Did we see what happened to the Stevens car?
Well, Dan Stevens' car just seemed to start to slow. Just looking back at the replay, it looked like it was Kai in the Volvo and Darren Goosey got together. They tried to avoid
it was the
Stevens slowing Merc. Unfortunately, Darren got punted around by Kai, which caused him to roll over multiple times.
It's just when it rains and pours, doesn't it? That's the second race, and it's more or less in the bin at this early stage. He's down in 7th position, 13 seconds off the lead when he was into 3rd and looking for the lead.
Definitely not Dan's weekend here, because it seems to be that, as you said, Steve, yeah, when it rains it pours, and unfortunately for Dan, he showed some good promise, and unfortunately we're not going to see anything out of his Mercedes this weekend anyway.
Well, there's still time. He's down. He's 12 seconds. He's making up the time a little bit at this. I am impressed that Volvo is now up into 4th position from bang last on the grid, and he is going round the outside of turn 1 trying to take Roger Clark. I was going to say it's not going to work, but guess what? He's just done it.
That's incredible. I mean, those Volvos, they've got him as a driver, and he's made it work around the outside of turn 1. Now we all know that all the marbles and debris is there on the exit of turn, on the out of line turn 1, so you're not going to get the grip, but to be able to pull off a move like that and make it stick.
Well,
He's done
it's
an exceptional job.
he's got confidence in that car. That car is going exactly where he needs it to go at any one time, and he's just pulling away from Roger Clark and set sail for Dave Kinnaman. He is in third position. Kai is 9 seconds off the lead. We roll back to Dan Stevens. He's made half a second back up. He's now 12.5 seconds behind the lead overall in sixth, right up the back of the other Volvo of Chris McCall. And we'll just go on board with that Mercedes as we cross the start-finish line. He's tucked right under the Volvo Polestar Racing rear wing. We're crossing the start-finish straight. That Merc is no slouch in a straight line as we suspected. He's making the move down the inside, but the Volvo braked a little bit earlier, and he's through and into fifth position. Roger Clark in front now, so he set sail once again. He's now 12.3 seconds behind the lead and making up the time rapidly over the last few corners.
It seems to be an exceptional job. One thing I have noticed, probably cut down, and just slip right down to the back of the grid. Does anyone have a reason on that?
Yes, we had an issue when we were on board with the Volvo. The Volvo was going around the outside of the hairpin to pass Darren. Darren wasn't giving it up, as nor he shouldn't, but unfortunately on the inside, on the exit of the corner, we had the 888 car, which had spun out of second position and left Darren nowhere to go, and the Volvo was through and into the Dan Stevens car, unfortunately, at that point. So again, for Darren and Dan, a little bit of a huge issue for both of them through no fault of their own. So unfortunate, but it is racing.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, sometimes it's a case of doing the wrong place at the wrong time.
Having said that, we have got a man on a mission now. Dan Stevens has just moved past Roger Clark into fourth, so that's a car a lap at this rate, and he's got the gap down to 11.9 seconds from 13.5 2 laps ago, so he's making it work.
And that's one thing with them, when he does decide to, he chips it down actually, he decides it's time to hit the go button, he really pushes on, but does have a tendency to overwork his tyres.
Yeah, so, it could be a bit of a blessing in disguise for Danny. He has to use the hard tyres in this race, and I do believe, from the looks of it, he has started on hard tyres, so showing this pace, he's going to be thereabouts come the end of it. Bruce, you've been watching your car in the lead. He's running steadily in the 107.2s. He's obviously going to run soft to the end. He's got a nice handsome 4.5 second gap over second position. What's your thoughts?
Well, at the moment, he does definitely seem to be the edge. Like the practice he's been having just acclimatising himself to his new car space seems and by the looks of it, from what I've been watching there, he has not been pushing his tyres too hard at the beginning of the race like some other people have been. But in saying that, Dan Stevens has been the fastest lap of the race so far. 106, whereas Wayne's best lap there, well, his last lap was 107. So definitely Dan's on a mission. But I think it's going to be a close race. Can't really call it at the moment.
Absolutely. Well, we're down to under 10 seconds now for Dan Stevens behind the lead. He's made up 4 seconds almost over the last 3 laps. So yeah, the pace is there. The Volvo just in front is also throwing down the similar type of laps. I think they're within 2/10 of each other for the last few laps. And the Volvo set sail for that forward in front. Is now 3 seconds behind Kinnaman in second. Kinnaman is still staying about 4.5 seconds behind first position.
And realistically, I think what the guys out front need to do is probably concentrate on more in front. Don't drive a defensive race, because as soon as you start driving defensive, you start losing a lot of time and making those little bit of mistakes.
Exactly, and we've got the second Volvo has now moved up to 5th position. It's 19 seconds off the lead, driven by Chris McCall. Chris is one of the drivers that has to use the hard tyre in this race as well. Potentially started on the hard, which, as we suggested at the start of the commentary, might be the better strategy.
Yeah, I definitely did think that running the hards to start with was going to pay dividends in the back end because, like I said, that soft tyre really does give you the ability to put the car anywhere on track where you're going to want it to be to make a defensive move.
Yeah, so we're just on the rear wing of the Pepsi Max Ford Falcon of Roger Clark, and right underneath it we've got the Team DSA holding Commodore, which is trying to make a move down into turn 1, trying to get in the slipstream across the start-finish straight. He's a little bit far back at this point in time, but Darren's making a good comeback.
Yeah, or he's, according to the timing monitors, got himself back up to 9th, so he's definitely not going to lay down and take it easy.
Yeah, he's actually back up to 7th now. A couple of cars stopped on that lap. He's got the Triple 8 car that was running very well and it finished 3rd in the first race all over the back of him. And as we look from the back rear wing of the Roger Clark car, the Triple 8 car is trying to make a move around the outside on this corner. That's the same place the Volvo made the move. Is Darren a little bit slow into that, or are people just a little bit ambitious?
I think it's pretty bad with the strategy there, just trying to preserve the tyres and not overrunning the race. Because that was one thing that we did work on, was just getting getting the car positioned where he wants it to be, so we can flow through the corner and not hurt the tyres apart.
And almost a big accident there. It looked like Roger Clark was slowing for the pit entry, but Darren almost ran and tripped over.
Yeah, look, and that's obviously coming out of the final turn there. And Darren has had a chat with me earlier on in the week about he has had problems getting power down and getting out of that turn and getting the line down the straight. So he's probably focusing a little bit too much on his exit and not actually watching the traffic ahead of him there.
Okay, so we've got a similar sort of situation. We've now got the Roger Clark car in front of the Triple 8 car coming into the top of the hairpin. The Triple 8 car has definitely got a bit of pace on it. Darren's ran a bit wide into that corner. Roger Clark's back onto the inside of him. Yeah, and he's still holding the inside. Oh, and just cut the nose off coming in there, Darren.
Yeah, that's one thing Darren said. When he came and had a chat with me earlier on about joining the team, he said he didn't want to be one of those guys that was going to be mid-pack and tripping over everyone at the back end of the pack and causing people to be having issues around him. He wanted to really advance himself as a driver and his car setup, and I think just in the week that he's been with us at DSA that this has shown what we can actually get out of this driver just in 1 week. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season.
Absolutely, guys, and we wrote Dan Stevens off a little bit early, I'm afraid. He's got the gap down to 7 seconds to the lead. He's right under the rear wing of the Volvo, and right just in front of that, moving out of shot, you can see the 55 car in 2nd position, so still all to play for here.
Hang on, did you just say the 55 car? So hang on, we've got Dave Kinnaman just within eyeshot of Dan Stevens.
Exactly. And we come down the start finish straight now, and he's made a good exit out of the final turn. He's getting the slipstream off that Volvo. Let's see if the Volvo goes defensive into turn 1. Yeah, he's got the slipstream, he's pulled right up onto the rear. Let's see if he's making the move nice and early. Volvo stays out wide, and that, if he keeps it together, will be Dan Stevens up into 3rd position.
Wow, oh my god, I've just placed my order for the popcorn now knowing that Dave Kinnaman is within eyeshot of Dan Stevens.
Well, we had a little bit of, they were running close together in race 1 for about a lap, and then Dan managed to pull out the gap straight away. But now he's back up into 3rd position on the podium, 6.7 seconds off the lead, and Kinnaman in sight.
Yeah, Dan's now getting down to the under 3 second gap to Dave at the moment.
That is correct, yeah, he should be right up there within a lap or 2, I would imagine. Can we actually see from on screen which tyres are on that car? Is it the yellow sidewalls or the softs, are they?
I can't get a clear view. What about you, Bruce?
I had one, I don't think it was the...
I can see what looks like the hard tyre on that car. Let's have a look at the Kinnaman car, which should be on soft. Yes, the Kinnaman car has got the yellow sidewalls, so that is softs on that car. And let's get another look at Stevens Merc if we can get it coming past now. And that looks like hard tyres to me at this point.
Okay, Okay, so that makes for a very interesting end of the race.
Well, that's beautiful. No, they're yellow sidewalls. Pretty sure they're yellow sidewalls. Let's see if we get another close-up.
Dan's does have the yellow sidewalls.
Yes.
It does appear that the top 3 currently are running the yellows.
Yeah, so softs. Yeah, the first position car has to run hards as well, I believe. The Kinnaman car doesn't have to run hards. Dan is still 6.6 seconds behind first, so even though he's got clear track now, he hasn't made up any time on first. But he has made up a few tenths on second, Bruce.
Yes, not much. Has just a couple of tenths he has made up on second place at this moment in time.
Yeah, actually his last lap was so 106.4. He's just put in for a 106.7 from Dave Kinnaman with the first position car putting in a 107.6. So he's took a second out of first on this lap. A little bit of an incident there coming into turn 1. He's clipped the curb a little bit more than he would want.
And that just could be a case of him overdriving the car, trying to make up that time. And I think what you really need to do is just find your rhythm, stick to it, and the pace will come.
Well, it's interesting. He passed the fourth place Volvo, was it 2 laps ago? He's already pulled out over 6 seconds on that car alone. I think Kyle will be heading for the pits anytime soon. He's just done on a 109.2, which is well down of his best time of 105.8.
Yeah,
there could be something missing.
So as usual, unfortunately for the driver in first, we don't get too much of a view of them when they're controlling the race the way they are. So Wayne is looking comfortable to say the least. That car, we're just on board on the roof cam of it now. It's taken nice apex into turn 1. He's not overdriving it on the exit. He's not burning those tyres up. The guy's looking silky smooth in control. Must be pleased with that, Bruce.
Yes, definitely. As I say, it was the last race there. It was the first time for the pair of drivers calling it they just weren't used to it at all. But I think Wayne has been out there a lot, just trying to dial it back and get used to the nuances of these new 2014 cars. And the moment it's still.
Yeah.
His times there, he's still managing to keep that gap.
He is. I'm just looking at sector 1 at 22.3 for Wayne in first, 22.1 for Kinnaman in second, and Stevens in third on 22.3. So that little clip of the curb has cost Dan a little bit in that one. And he's just thrown in a 106.5 lap versus 106.3 for Dave Kinnaman in second, and Wayne has dropped into the 106s on that lap as well, so he's obviously aware that the cars are coming and needs to throw something out there.
Yeah, and I think as well that's 15 laps in the books already, so that his tires might be just beginning to go off slightly just now. And I think that's what's been happening with the fourth placed Volvo. And his last lap time again was a 109, and also Chris McCall's last lap was a 110. So I think they should probably be heading for pits pretty shortly.
Yeah, so is that something inherent to the Volvo, Troy, would you say? It's looking a little bit harder on his tyres, or is it just the guys are anxious to get on with it and overdriving it a little bit?
I think it could be a combination of all of the above, Steve. The Volvo's not an extremely heavy car, but it could come down to the way these guys have gone with their setup. They could be running their springs just a little bit too stiff and really working those tyres hard. They could be overdriving the car, period. It's hard to say. You really need to probably sit down and have a look at the data after post-race as a team and try and work out why you aren't getting the tyre life that everyone else is getting on the car.
Yeah, so we just look at the top 3 now. Kinnaman has put a little bit of a squirt on over the last few laps, has got it down to under 3 seconds to the lead. Dan Stevens is within 5 seconds of the lead, but it looks like it's pretty static between these 3 now, at least until the tyre stops.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, go, Bruce.
No, I was just going to say that I was just looking at the times there, and from Dave managing to close down a couple of seconds on Wayne's just, it must just be picking it up a little bit. the tyres mustn't be as bad as we were actually thinking initially there.
Well, no, from looking at the timing screen, Wayne's just done his best lap of the race, 106.7. The next lap that he's ran was also 106.7, so the consistency is pretty phenomenal there from this guy at this 17 laps into the race. He's not going to let this one go without a fight.
No, that's for sure. The last lap there, the top three were only covered by about 4/10 of a second, with Dan coming the quickest, and unfortunately Wayne being the slowest. But
yeah, but
really
not
isn't much in it just now.
Not by much. There's a couple of layers of paint between them at the moment, so it's coming together nicely for us here in the booth. So we've got first Wayne Pingelli in the 222 SR Commodore. We've got Dave Kidman in the 55 Racing Ford Falcon. And we've got Dan Stevens in the 33 Mercedes E63.
Davis Rent-A-Car.
Rent-A-Car.
Yeah, definitely. What's the fee on that this weekend, Steve?
Well, the guys like the car. It's definitely very good to drive. It responds well to some setup tweaks and stuff. Mercedes wanted us to take the car out and show that it can run with the best of them, and it's certainly done that. It's race one in the hands of Rob Herbert. It topped the first two sessions, didn't get the shootout pole, unfortunately, and Dan appears to have rolled one and is now in the pits, so that's a bit of an earlier stop than the first two.
Speaking of champions and battles and that, I've seemed to notice that we're missing Gavin Cox as well.
Yeah, Gavin's out for the week, as is Brett Clark. Brett turned up, duffed everybody up last night at Oran Park and has taken the day off. And I think Gavin's having something similar, so we should see him back in action next week, hopefully.
And
this is a very long stop for the Stevens car.
Obviously there's massive damage occurred to that car in the previous incident where he did manage to roll it. Now clearly the Mercedes, they have been known for their safety features, so the fact that Dan can even get it to the pits is a massive commendation to them.
Yeah, I was sort of hoping that they wouldn't have bothered to fix the damage, because that car was running as fast as anything out there, in fact faster than most things. Yeah, if they've actually fixed the damage, that's a little bit of a own goal.
Well, it is a bit of a concern because realistically, obviously Dan Stevens has gone and got himself a rhythm with the damage the car was carrying, so we don't know whether it's a bent steering arm or whatnot. And now that he's taken the car out that's completely repaired, it could struggle to find that same rhythm again. Bruce, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, that's right, Troy. It could be that if you get damage to the car, you kind of work around it and you get used to it. You know what to do and what not to do, and if something does get repaired, you could get into turn one flat out and then do something, and the car does the exact opposite of what you're expecting it to actually do, and you just
we've got the race
accident.
Sorry, Bruce, we've got the race leader in the pits there. He just noticed on track that Dan Stevens had actually come out just in front of the race leader, so Wayne has obviously decided to ditch it for the pits and get that out of the way nice and early.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. It did look like he was very cautious coming in the pit lane there, so hopefully...
Yeah, I think he's going to be fine on that one. So we had a 1 minute 59 second lap, including the pit stop for Dan Stevens, so let's see what we get when Wayne triggers the timing beam. It looks like a pretty standard stop, although it is looking a little bit on the long side now. Is that too much fuel, perhaps?
No, looks like he's just... It could be, actually. No?
Yeah, there's something going on here, Bruce. It's not looking like the flashes pit stop and he's off and running. So it'll be important to see where Dan Stevens is on track with respect to Wayne. So just coming on to the start-finish straight now.
Yep.
This is going to be close. We're just on board with Dan now on the roof cam. Coming down past the start-finish straight, whereabouts on track is the 222 car. It's cleared pit lane. No, it hasn't. Dan Stevens has just cleared him. And that is a massive undercut there. Just when we thought that the SRT car, we've got the 55 car from 555 Racing now in the pits. He's just pulling into his stall right now. Drive through right to the end of the pits. On the markers, stop. Yep, car's up on the jacks. Let's see what he did in the last race. Troy, he got a massive undercut and got into first position.
Yeah, he's definitely been on point with his pit stop, so he's got that side of it worked out. Let's see what kind of an undercut he can get out of it this time.
Stevens has got a lot of ground to make up if he's going to beat this one round, so he's coming round the last couple of sections now. The 55 car is up and running. Dan Stevens is entering the home straight now. Foot down all the way, third place car looks like he's heading for the pits, and the 55 car gets its throttle down. Stevens is only just crossing the start finish straight from now, I make it, and into turn 1 with a clear lead is the Dave Kinnaman car.
That was an excellent pit stop there by the 555 crew.
That's 2 in a row as well. So unfortunately the grand total loser out of that one was the ASR 222 car, which is now in third position from the lead, with the first and second place cars now Dave Kinnaman and Dan Stevens.
Yeah, it's definitely shaken this grid up a bit, hasn't it?
Well, we had a 2 minute 2 I think from the 222 car, including the pit stop, 1:59 from the Dan Stevens car, and a 1:54. That's a 1:54 for the Dave Kinnaman car.
I think Wayne was in the 222 car. He definitely was just erring on the side of caution, coming in and out of the pits, just to make sure he avoided getting any form of drive-through.
Yeah, so he's.
But Dave must have been perfect.
Yeah, I think he's obviously got the team's probably put a little bit more fuel in than would be needed to get to the end of the race, where I suspect that the 555 racing crew have shoved in exactly what you need to get to the end, which is giving also a couple of seconds as well as the entrance to pit lane.
Hopefully the 555 aren't going to run it on vapes anyway.
Well, as we know, Troy, there's no fuel adjustment mixture in this new generation V8 Supercar, so you're going to have to work with the throttle on that one, aren't you?
That's exactly right, and that's one thing that I've definitely enjoyed that the supercars have taken out of the equation, is the fact that you can't. They put more of the onus back on the driver to get the car home, instead of the team being able to turn it down another level or turn it up a level.
Oh no, the 222 car spun out of third position, is in the barrier. Hopefully not too bad. I was just about to highlight, Troy, sorry for cutting in there, I was just about to highlight that he wasn't taking this quietly and had got right up onto the back of the Dan Stevens car, and unfortunately he looks like he just washed out coming into that back section of S's and has spun out.
That's a massive, massive shame. It seems as though that he's probably just got in a little bit too hot there, and the front of the car's just understeered, and the rest of it is, as they say, history.
Yeah, very unfortunate. I was very impressed there that he had obviously decided, yep, I'm not going to let this get to me, and had got back up on the rear of that Merc. But yeah, that's cut away what was going to be a three-way battle. So we've now got Dave Kinnaman, who's coming up on the Team DSA, holding Commodore Darren Goosey. Darren's been no slouch this weekend, so it'll be interesting to see where Dave picks to get past him, and if he can before this home straight, because Stevens is starting to loom in the rear view mirror.
One thing I have noticed with Darren over the past couple of rounds, driving with him on a Friday night in the Camaros, and he's a good front runner. He knows how to put his car where he wants it, and I think a lot of guys are going to find now with the ability that he's got someone to work with setup, you're going to find Darren, he's going to be even that little bit more difficult to pass.
Well, I've just watched that, and I'm not sure if both you guys are drivers as well, but Darren pulled to the left down the home straight and stayed there, kept his foot in it, and the Kinnaman car stayed to the outside. Surely on a straight like that you would want to get as much slipstream out of the car in the front as possible, especially when you've got Dan Stevens now 1.9 seconds behind.
It's a win-lose situation. Do you take the advantage of the slipstream, or do you then sort of hold the car back a little bit and take the advantage of not having to fight with that car over the next 2, 3 or 4 turns? So it's sort of it's a hard one to decide, and you got to work out where you're going to benefit more from. What do you think about that one, Bruce?
I was just actually having a look back at that just now there. It is, I mean, Darren knew that he was being lapped by the leaders, he did stay in the way, but any advantage I will be trying to just to get that little bit more advantage from Dan, trying to pull out. Dan is getting gapped down to just about the 2-second mark at this present moment in time.
Yes, 1.4 entering turn 1 on this lap. He's definitely got a bit of a squirt on a 107.7 for Dave Kinnaman on that lap, and a 106.5 for Dan Stevens. He's right on the back of them. So, Troy, get the popcorn.
Yeah, it's already been delivered, and I've got me jumbo-sized glass of Coke as well.
Exactly, it's game on. Let's hope that the two of them can actually get involved in the battle, and nobody's pushed the cars too far at this point. 1.2 seconds coming around that corner. We're coming onto the home straight. Stevens' car looks nicely balanced around there, as does the 55 car. Lap traffic in front coming up for Dave, and a good exit out of there for both cars. Dan has cut it down to 1.3 seconds going across the line for the looks of it.
It does also look the tractor Wayne's spin down the back there. He's getting himself back on the pace and getting back in the rhythm again. Because Kyle had closed the gap down to about 11 seconds, but Wayne has managed to go back out to just a little over 16 seconds at the moment.
Okay, get your helmet on, Troy. You're in the 55 car. You're running soft. You're in. You've got the second place car closing in, which is ran softs and now hards. Is that going to play into your mind? You could bear in mind that Dan, in theory, should have a bit more tyre life at the end, and especially since Dave isn't running any hotter pace at this point.
Realistically, no, it wouldn't throw any concern to me. If anything, it would make me feel a little bit more comfortable in my position and probably back the car off a little bit. Let Dan come up to me a bit more, make it a wide car, that way then make him work those hard tyres, because once those hard tyres do overheat, they are hard to get back down, and then preserve the life of the soft and have that little bit in reserve to have the battle at the end of the race if need be.
Absolutely, and I'm impressed with Dan. That's why he's in that car, that's why he drives for us. He looked like he was down and out. He's had a terrible pre-season. The first race was a disaster. This race looked like it was being a disaster, but he's just got back up on the wheel and driven this life and his thing is back up in second position within touching distance of the lead.
And Dan's also in the fastest lap of the race so far.
Yeah, 105.8, and he's running 106.4 at the moment, and they've both just lapped that Pepsi Max forward. Let's see, we've got 7 laps remaining.
7 laps, and it's going to be an absolute cracking 7 laps, I'd say, because we're definitely going to get Dan right up behind the Dave Kinnaman car, and it's just going to be a question of who's got the best tyres at the end of the race.
Yeah, well, he's within a second now. I reckon he needs another 3 to 4 tenths to get up to actually get the slipstream out of that Falcon down the start-finish straight. But we're getting closer every lap as it goes down.
Yeah, definitely, and that Mercedes does look good on track. It has got it quite. It seems to be coming in quite well, and that's one of the traits of a Dan Stevens car. Is he does like a car that is very clean and does turn in quite reasonably well.
Yeah, he does tend to drive it on the apex a little bit more than most, which sometimes can make the rear of the car a little bit loose. But it looks like it's all going well at the moment. We're within that second.
In saying that, just watching the delayed broadcast here, watching them come into the final sequence of turns there, you can see that the rear was a little unhappy as he turned in there.
Well, here we go now. We're coming into the final section of turns, and there's a lap car in front. This could play right into the hands of Dan Stevens. He is within a second coming onto the start-finish straight. Has he got close enough to get the slipstream? Let's go on board with the hamburger cam on the roof.
Dan has pushed for the centres in 1, 2
and coming into turn 1, Dave Kinnaman has not managed to get past the traffic, so that is going to compromise a little bit, especially around this back section unless the car moves out of the way, and then hopefully it does for both cars. But Stevens is now right on the rear wing. He can smell the paint on the back of that 555 racing car.
I
Oh,
think he's
and the
actually
lights are on.
been-
The lights are on from Kinnaman. He's getting a little bit frustrated on the entrance there. Stevens has thrown it in as well and is right on the rear wing of that. The Pepsi Max Ford gets out of the way.
And just having a bit of a look there at the Kinnaman car, it doesn't look like they've repaired anything from last weekend, so I'm sure there's some witness marks from Dan's car from last weekend on there, and he's just seen them.
Yeah, he's just checking out his Nissan marks and see if he can put some Mercedes badges all over the back of that Ford.
Yeah, he's obviously going for the trifecta, so next weekend we might see him in a Commodore, and then he can put a Commodore witness mark on that Falcon.
Excellent. So, get your helmet on again, Troy. You're in that second place car. You've lost a little bit of time on this lap. You're rapidly running out of laps. How are you going to get up there?
I'd probably back it off, not to the point where I'm losing time, but I probably wouldn't be as aggressive, and I'd try and have a look then to see at what point is Dave's car weak. Is it weak on its corner exit? Is it weak on the slower corner exits? Is it weak in a straight line? And then view it for probably a lap, and then put the pace back on and pressure him, and hopefully that car's still in front, use that as an advantage to slow him up a little bit earlier and make the move a little bit easier for myself.
Well, you're making me a little bit nervous there because Dan has just dropped it off to 1.8 seconds behind on this lap, so potentially he's going for exactly what you said. At least I hope he is, and he's not actually just lost pace completely now.
Well, you can either call me Nostradamus or he's out of tyres.
I should hope not. With these hard tyres, they should last a little bit better than that. So 4 laps remaining. Dave Kinnaman in first, Dan Stevens second, Wayne McGilly in third, 15 seconds back. The Volvo of Kai in fourth, the second Volvo in fifth position, the 888 car of Lofty Fletch in sixth, the Oranga Racing number 10, 9 car of Roger Clark in seventh, Darren Goosey from DSA in eighth, we've got Eric Stratton in ninth, Neville Wilson in 10th, and Mark in the 888 car that was originally second is now down in 11th, the DNF'd, and Norman Clark is also DNF'd in 12th position.
Yeah, it's one thing it could possibly be also, Steve, is he could have overworked those hard tyres and maybe trying to get some temp back out of them to cool them down for one last dash, but usually once they are overheated, you can pretty much say goodbye to them.
Yeah, well hopefully that's not what's happened. So he's back to 1.7 seconds down on this lap, and he's rapidly running out of laps, so we're across the start-finish straight. We should have 3 laps remaining, that's 32 in the books. Dave Kinnaman now with a 1.9 second lead over Dan Stevens, and for the last 2 laps he's ran a few tenths faster in each lap, so 106.6 for Dave, 106.7 for Dan on that lap.
Now, Bruce, I'm not sure if you're noticing it too, but I'm seeing that the Stevens car is not looking as comfortable in the rear as it was earlier on.
No, I did notice that actually. I think he might have just overcooked the rears a little bit. Could have been at the hairpin. He's just cooked them a little bit, and Dan is also beginning to lock up a little bit. So you could be right. He could have just cooked his tyres a little bit.
Well, you've made a good point there. That hairpin there, I think it's turn 5. It's a first gear turn. I mean, personally, I take it in second so that you don't get that wheel spin, but I do know Dan does like using first gear for drive out of turn. So definitely, I think he may have got a little bit greedy on that throttle. He's pushed those tyres, and I think those wheels are just about done. Sorry to say, Steve.
Yes, we're just on board from the driver's eye view behind the wheel, and disappearing off in the distance is the Dave Kinnaman car. It's now 2.6 seconds up, so we follow down on this lap, and the car's looking pretty okay, nothing too flash into turn 1, he's just nice and smooth there. Decent exit out of that one into the right-left section coming up now, right, and then on the left apex braking for the next corner, which is a tight right-hander. 0.27 seconds down on Kinnaman in that sector. Moving up towards the top of the track into the hairpin on the left and taking it in. Yeah, you can see there's a little bit of having to take two turns at the corner to get it right there. That suggests possibly a little bit of understeer as well. Oh, and the Roger Clark car looks like it's off, is it? Or
no,
it's a different.
Eric Stratton.
And we've got the ASR car in third position. Right up, Darren's right under the back of Roger. He's clipped him slightly on the way in there. They're back on, and they got to put back off for third position to come through. Blue flags waving. And that's a shame.
That was a shame.
However, I would suspect that Darren can keep it right under the rear wing of that 222 car. He can tow back up to Roger in 7th position.
Yeah, well, it does actually look like he has.
And he's got him. Good driving there.
Brilliant piece of driving there. Yeah, Darren's come on leaps and bounds, and just in this week that I've had some chance to work with him and work on his race car after this been the setup for the car, right? You're going to see Darren really put some pressure on these guys.
Yeah, so Darren's got in front now, but the Roger Clark car is trying to make a move up the inside again. The 222 car is just cruising around in front, and now Roger Clark is trying to make a move up into the hairpin. Nothing as yet. He's right under the rear wing of that DSA Commodore.
It looks like Dave Kimmon's just coming over the line just now.
Yes, he should be. And Dave Kinnaman is our race winner with a 5-second gap from Dan Stevens in 2nd position. And 3rd position coming around the final few corners and onto the home straight is the 222 car for his first podium finish in the series.
Sensational job there from everyone, and clearly, unfortunately, it appears that Dan's tyres had gone away from him there towards the end, so clearly the soft tyre at the back end of the race was the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just wondering, did he push too much trying to get up there? But he did have a lot of ground to make up, to be fair to him, so it was good to see that he actually managed to make it up. So that's our final order. Is Dave Kinnaman the race winner. 2nd position is Dan Stevens. 3rd is Wayne Pengelly. 4th is Kai in the Volvo. 5th is the 2nd Volvo of Chris McCall. 7th is the 888 car of Lofty Fletch. 7th, Darren Goosey, who held off Roger Clark after that excellent move on the lap before. And then we've got Eric Stratton 9th, and then the DNFs for Neville Wilson, Mark and Norman Clark. So let's get the top 3 down. I'll have a chat.
User was moved to your channel. Buddy was moved to your channel. User was moved to your channel.
Good evening and welcome to the podium interview. That we've got our top 3. We've got Dave Kinnaman, our race winner, Dan Stevens in 2nd, and Wayne Pengelly in 3rd position. Troy?
Gentlemen, it's some great racing there. First of all, to you, Dave, congratulations, mate. Car seems to be working well for you in that stint.
It was excellent. That stint I finished the race with 70% on all 4 tyres pretty much, so really well balanced. I got to give a shout out to my teammate Gav, who put work into the week setting the car up even though he knew he wasn't going to be racing.
Yeah, that was one thing we did notice, the absence of your teammate, and clearly you obviously still had the chance to spend a lot of time together throughout the week, and it's paid dividends massively for you guys.
Yeah, we did spend a lot of time communicating in the week, and unfortunately he had a family commitment tonight, so couldn't make it. But he gave me the setup I needed to try and put the car in a winning position, and hopefully he's happy with the result.
Being a team owner, I'd definitely be happy with that one too.
Excellent. And in 2nd position we have Dan Stevens. Dan, bit of an awful weekend up until this race, and this one also looked like it was going to go that way, but what a drive to get back up to 2nd position.
Yeah, mate, I just have to apologise to the person I spun around. I'm not too sure who it was, but I waited up for them to pass, and I let about 5 cars go past. So I thought he might have passed in that group, so I just carried on going. I was actually waiting for the drive-through.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, you managed to get right back up there towards the end, and a decent pit stop, but not as quick as the 555 pit stop. Did you have more fuel to take, or?
Yeah, I actually had to put in more fuel. I think about 5 seconds or 6 seconds longer, I think it would have been.
Yeah, that's what we made on the timing as well. So is the Merc a little bit more thirsty?
No, I just didn't put enough in at the beginning because I was on the hard tyres, and I thought I'll do a stint of 17 laps on the hards. So I could have gone more, but it was a bit of a bugger that I didn't have enough fuel in there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And in 3rd position we have his first podium, Wayne Pengelly. Bruce, over to you.
well done, Wayne, on the third place there. Brilliant at the start, holding first for so long. Unfortunately, it looked like the pit stop was a bit slow for you.
Yeah, unfortunately, mate, didn't have it too bad to set up with the hard tyres, and then the plan was to do obviously take a bit of fuel and go to the softs, but yeah, just obviously a long pit stop, so unfortunate.
But after that, from watching the timings, you were holding the pace to Dan and Dave. It was just unfortunate that you were that bit back down, and also there was the spin just near the end into the wall.
Yes, I was thinking not again, mate. Obviously pushing pretty hard to keep up with Dan, and just overcooked it in the corner there a bit. And yeah, I sort of after that thought, let's calm down and just try and stick it on the podium and keep the 11 to 10 second gap in fourth place.
Yeah, it was absolutely excellent drive there for you, Wayne.
Super pumped, mate.
Excellent, guys. So thanks very much for that. We'll just let you get back.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
User was moved out of your channel. User was moved out of your channel. Buddy was moved out of your channel.
And there we have it. So that is race 2 in the can, and we have a win for Dave Kinnaman, second position for Dan Stevens, and a third position for Wayne Pengelly. And on to next week, which is the final of the pre-season events, and then the actual season gets going proper after that. So congratulations to everyone. Thanks to my co-hosts Troy Allen and Bruce Duncan. We'll see you again next week.